Hey all! I've seen a lot of comments lately asking about the Rising Mist build, which has become a competitive option for ranged Mistweavers ever since the addition of Rushing Wind Kick and the later round of tuning that doubled its buff to Renewing Mist healing. As for me personally, I've tried it, I definitely see the appeal, but ultimately I don't enjoy it nearly as much as my current build. That being said, I still want to cover it since it would feel weird to ignore it after my last major video. The builds I'm showing on screen aren't exactly the recommended builds, but they're close enough for the purpose of this video. They're what I came up with as a sort of transition from my current build, just for testing things out, and I'll include a link to the recommended build below. For anyone unfamiliar with this flavor of Mistweaver, I'll sum it up the way I understand it, which is that you're hitting Rushing Wind Kick on cooldown, and relying on talents like Rising Mist, Rapid Diffusion, Dancing Mists, and Lotus Infusion to maintain as many Renewing Mists as possible, which pays off when it's time to do massive cleave healing through Invigorating Mists. Since Rushing Wind Kick doesn't require a target, you can trigger both Rapid Diffusion and the hot extension from Rising Mist while staying at range. This makes it entirely viable for a casting Mistweaver, even if you're someone who has no interest in doing DPS or coming into melee at all. Though it is still worth it to try, if you're comfortable, to hit enemies with Rushing Wind Kick, since our passive Ancient Teaching still provides a small amount of damage to healing. Because we'd be giving up Peer into Peace, these talent choices do affect the way we ramp, forcing us to hardcast Enveloping Mist a few times, which is made easier by Yu'lon, thanks to the haste from Invoker's Delight, and then extend those hots with one last Rushing Wind Kick. At that point we start our Soothing Mist channel on a single target, and aggressively spam Vivify until most of our hots are gone, or there's nothing left to heal. The cleave healing from Invigorating Mists on all of these targets can be massive, which is why there are some really high parses by Mistweavers playing this build. Ultimately though, the reasons I don't like this build boil down to personal choice. I think it flattens the playstyle a bit, and it feels like the kind of build that if it starts to overperform or scale too well with gear, it would be extremely vulnerable to targeted nerfs. I think it's amazing that we have so many options when it comes to playstyle, even beyond fist weaving and casting. I've tried variations of this build in dungeons and raids, trying it with and without talents like Lotus Infusion and Pool of Mists, but I always come back to my current build, which is for me, the perfect balance of relaxed and versatile. If you want more information about the Rising Mist build, I've found Icy Veins pretty reliable when I'm looking for somewhere to start, so I'll include a link to their talents page. If you're new to my channel and interested in my current build and my interpretation of how it works, check out my quote guide from a couple weeks ago, which has nothing to do with Rising Mist at all. I'll include a link to that too. Hopefully I've answered a few questions better than I've been able to address them in previous comments. Feel free to drop me a question below if I've explained anything poorly, or if you're just confused as hell why I do some of the things I do. I'd be happy to answer. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.